an equalizer for a reason. So it's very possible that OCG do show up here in a big way. I mean, I know watching them here last stage, I felt like this was the place that the map that they had down the most. They do some impressive rushes. They're not afraid to just jump on into the site when they see an opportunity. But yes, OCG are not the favorites here. That's going to be Lenny, poised and ready to possibly take this one. Both teams desperate for a win. Lenny desperate because they're very much in the playoff hunt, and a win here would put them in a good position for next week going forward. And OCG, they just want to get a win under their belts at all. So equally desperate in that sense. Now the bans here, it's Clubhouse after all, so usually we don't have a ton of exciting bans to talk about, and that will be consistent for these first two bans, Maverick and Thatcher, taken off the board.
What we can talk about, though, is the fact that they are both banned at the same time, which means, there you go, Cade is likely to follow. Leaving a Cade up in this situation is just a death sentence. That also means bandit tricking has now come back into play. It also leaves Hibana up. It leaves Capitao up. And with the Wamai ban, that might just be who we see. A lot of teams have started running Capitao, especially with a Mav Thatch ban, and taking the Wamai out might have just telegraphed that. I do like Capitao pushes. It makes taking stuff like Generator. It makes taking stuff like Rafters in Garage. It even makes Bathroom easier, or B2, easier to clear out. And there we go. Immediately, OCG are going to don that operator, still running the double hard breach, the Thermite, and the Hibana. This is not Ace's best map, and a lot of teams, kind of flip-flop between the two. And it's CCTV Cash Room up first, and the Mira and the Valkyrie, two other very commonly banned operators who have been left up, will both be played.
Yeah, the fact that they teased the Mira and the Frost could be a bit of a suggestion that maybe they're headed towards Jim, and maybe they wanted to influence OCG's operator selection or thought process in that sense. But Mira is equally powerful on pretty much any bomb site you can bring her to, and so we'll see her here on CCTV and Cash, where we'll likely see a Mira window over on the top of Garage Rafters, exactly where we're going to see Geo set up these reinforcements right now. And generally we see one over sometimes downstairs in Lounge, but often over on Cash Wall itself. So we'll have to see how that comes into play, but these Valk cameras, as we know, are vital pieces of information, and we'll see exactly what Mikey wants to do with his last remaining Black Eye in pocket. But the rest of this lineup, both on the attacking and defensive side, there isn't anything too crazy. You do have the Mute in play, so we're not going to be seeing the Bandit trick that, as you highlighted, Harrison, is potentially on the board here in this map. But for now, looks like LennyGG will just be relying on the info denial and hard breach denial that the Mute jammers provide, albeit momentarily.
Yeah, I'm curious that they're not going for the feel like doing that, because they know that, a bandit trick is, while powerful if it goes off, it's pretty easy to deny from the attack. So they do have the Capitao, and that likely means this is going to eventually be a Raptors push from OCG. Something else that we need to mention is a shakeup of the roles. So Devil, who has been on hard support this entire season, will still be. But Zoinkers, the previous Sledge player, is now on the pseudo, the quote-unquote flank watch role, which typically plays Hibana on this map, and GXD has been flexed from hard support onto Sledge, whereas Bone is still on the primary entry, and Nova picks up the Capitao. So the role change is interesting from OCG, and I'm definitely intrigued to see if their play improves from it. And so far, it's going to net them the first frag. Bone gets one, but he is very swiftly traded out by Mikey.
Oh yeah, Mikey needs to be very careful here because, as we can tell, multiple drones spotted out his position, and now a couple of nades and potentially Capitao bolts are going to come raining his way. A nade from GXD is going to come up short, but Garage Control, or at least bottom of Garage Control, is going to be grabbed. But what is going on here? Slippery's allowed to go huge. He'll take down one. Thankfully, Devil's there to get one trade, but the second trade, it will not be found. It will be found by Nova instead. So right now it is LennyGG on the back foot as they relinquish control of Lounge, relinquish control of Rafters. It's going to be up to Geo and Swalen, who are both on the site itself, playing close by Cash. to hold this one off. You have a lot of utility left, so if any two players you want alive in this clutch situation, yes, it is Geo wielding a Nitro Cell and Swaylin wielding those toxic smokes. They still have quite a bit of work to do. Same thing goes for OCG. They haven't been able to open up that platform wall, finally doing so now. But that means, or at least finally attempting to do so now, but that means they're going to have to rotate their way around towards Rafters. And that's what we'll see from Devil.
So man advantage for OCG, but the time's starting to dwindle. A nade will go through. It will not find its mark, but as the wall gets thermited, that allows for the plant spot from GXD. He'll hug the bomb chassis, but he won't escape the C4 from Geo, meaning that this is now a round in the favor of the defense. Swaylin gets another through the gas. It's all Nova in a 1v2, but he can't make his way through Geo. He's too radical, as his name implies, and Lenny will still recover round number 1.
I really like what we just saw there from Geo and Swaylin. I mean, that right there, I mean, it was textbook. It was a textbook 2v3. Just wait for your utility to come into play. I mean, that's exactly why they weren't as aggressive as their teammates. That's exactly why they sat back and they waited for the opportunity to use that utility. A perfect C4, a perfect smoke canister to force OCG out of the position, that comfortable position that they had gotten themselves in, forcing those gunfights. And those are gunfights that LennyGG is going to win. In this case, seems like every single time. I mean, that is really impressive from LennyGG, especially considering that this is a team that, at least in my eyes, has often been a team that relies on aggression, that relies, at least in the past, on more expected plays. But to see such a mature play like that from those last two players, I mean, it just shows what improvements LennyGG have been making this stage, and it's no surprise why they're the favorites in this matchup, because that right there was just how you exploit a weakness of a team. That's just how you make a team that even if they're up a man advantage, you force them to work hard, and it was not over yet. LennyGG, very impressive stuff. They'll take the round.
Wonderful recovery. Unfortunately, they just didn't have enough time to bait out the C4. So, on to Gym we go, avoiding the basement for now. Also, I just noticed with Geo's name, so his name is Geo2Radical. I wonder if the capitalization was, like, on purpose? Because that corresponds with elements.
Nice.
I gotta...
Science.
I kind of want to ask him. Actually, okay, technically, no, because DI is not an element. It's didymium, which was thought to be an element. Was actually a anyway, it was a mixture.
I have a feeling he's not thinking that far.
I don't even know if Geo knows what that is.
God, just a nerd.
Listen. Thermite already ringing out on the server wall to make way for the cache clear. That is normally step number 1 when it comes to attacking Gym, and it's already going to start off well. GXD, who is actually down below, making sure that there's no C4 presence, kills an operator, not a C4 operator, but still an opener. That is going to be slippery. Dead and dusted. I actually don't know if he was playing downstairs or if he was in top red, but either way, that is an important pick, and it is very early, and it might... Actually, it does. It prompts the full fallback from Cash.
Yeah, that's a tremendous pick to get, because LennyGG, they no longer want to risk any sort of extension. They don't want to devote any further manpower off the site, because they know, very smartly so, that OCG at any moment could decide, you know what, let's push into this site. We've got the opening pick, and we've got the opportunity, but Swaylin, I mean, that is an incredible shot onto Bone, and that is the perfect way to equalize the standing in this round. Not only that, but now LennyGG, they're starting to maybe worry about the clock a little bit more. GXD being held up over in logistics. Zoinker's here to assist that clear, but right now, all of this pressure, one player on the master balcony, but aside that, it is everyone, and now it is confirmed, everyone in construction or pressuring into logistics. LennyGG, they should know this at this point, but they're not going to be able to stop Zoinkers from wreaking havoc on the site. GXD rolls through Mikey. It's up to Swaylin. He'll take care of Nova, but now he has to find 3 more, and stuck here behind the bathroom reinforcement, this one is not going to be too easy. He'll creep around and rotate towards the top of the main stairs here. But all LennyGG, or all OCG rather, need to do is just wait this out. and go for this plant. Devil going for the plant close behind the door. Swaylin has no nitro cell in pocket to deny this. He'll have to go for one swing. He'll get 3, but he won't be able to get a 4th or the 5th. That's GXD to finish out the round, and OCG recovering it massively.
That was that was a little funny. I started laughing halfway through the round because we heard the gun. We heard Zoinkers just begin to left click, and we saw his silhouette slowly walk through Logi, and he ended up getting 2 kills without interrupting his fire. And that is the strength, ladies and gentlemen, of Zofia's LMG. It has 150 bullets in its box mag, and it's that. I mean, it's just so much. Once again, we'll have a little bit of a role shift. It is Zoinkers on the Capitao, Nova on the Ace, so no Hibana anymore, and that's a little bit curious, I do have to say, considering this is going to be a church defense, what a lot of people consider to be one of Hibana's strongest sites. Well, in the game in general, you can open literally every single hatch. If you're bringing Duo Hard Breach, you can even reserve some of those Hibana pellets, or by using more Hibana pellets, you can reserve the other Hard Breach for opening Church Wall. But OCG will bring the Ace. Ace still, very good operator, but he can only open one of those hatches, which screams to me maybe Thermite on Moto, Thermite on either Kitchen or Blue, and then maybe Ace charges on Church Wall.
Okay, so good bit of that. Good bit of the hard breach. Just, again, it comes down to where you're going to implement that. Same thing goes for LennyGG. I mean, it comes down to this interesting lineup that they've brought out for us here. They've got the Legion and the Melusi. Well, first of all, Legion is rarely an operator that we see nowadays, considering he is not the strongest choice, typically, and especially when you also weigh between the Melusi and the Legion, you're almost going to go with Melusi every single time. They do very similar things, and Melusi just happens to have a nitro cell as well. And, well, it seems that everything's going LennyGG's way. I'm not sure exactly what OCG are thinking right now, but they have lost everybody that is worthwhile protecting. Thankfully, you still have Nova in play, who will not only wield those Selma charges that can be helpful for later, but who will get the opening pick for your team. That one on to Geo. Another player on this top floor roam, and Nova is going to walk right into their grasp. Thankfully, not taking too much damage there, and it seems that OCG, despite the lack of a man count, they are going to unite around one central factor: how to clear out Storms from this position. Storms eager to just frag this one out. Wait, Nova had actually backed off for a moment. Finally, GXD will go and pursue Nova, trying to get this crossfire, but a shotgun greets him on the garage rafters. One more to find. Can Storms do it? He'll swing once again, and a shotgun will body GXD, but it is not quite enough from that range, and well, GXD will recover at least one frag for the team.
I wonder if OCG thought it was Cash. I don't know.
Wild.
They spent a hell of a lot on that clear, and
it couldn't be Cash, by the way. It's locked.
Oh, that's true. It was locked. All right, well, either way, they spent a lot on that clear, and it didn't go well. Clearly, they just kind of they just kind of tried to walk into garage. Like, I don't really know what the plan was. But Mikey and Storms were happy to eat up, and that leaves GXD alone in a 1v3. He's staring down 2 people in Arsenal, one holding the crossfire in Church. That's going to be Slip, and it's Swaylin tucked all the way behind box 1 to grab a very clean headshot on the final player. I don't know. I hate to say it again, but I really, really don't know what that was from OCG, whether they were starved for info and didn't drone rafters, whether they thought they could just walk in and play for the trades. But either way, they thought wrong.
This is something we've seen from OCG now and again, right? And it's something I highlighted before the match. They are a team that really likes to go for the unexpected plays, and they do a great job, for the most part, I'd say, of taking advantage of just small weaknesses that they can find in a defensive setup. If they see that maybe the site is understaffed, like we just saw there, they aren't going to be afraid to just fully send it in and make something happen. But as we all saw, that really didn't go their way in this case. They kind of walked right into the waiting arms of Lenny, and they got beheaded one at a time. So I don't think we'll be seeing that from OCG again in this map, or at least on the attacking side, as they will have to adjust. But as you suggested, they might want to be attacking this site. They seem to have thought so last time, so they'll be heading now to attack CCTV and Cash, where LennyGG will be heading back to. If you recall in round number 1, this was a LennyGG victory that was enabled by a wonderful clutch play from Gio and Swaylin in a 2v3 situation. So, for one, I think LennyGG aren't hoping to get into that same clutch situation and require that of their teammates, but same goes for OCG. They're going to be looking to wrap this one out a little bit easier than before.
Ooh, Slip trying to contest the ace hole. That's not usually gonna go your way. So one defender off the board, and not only is that gonna be your Jaeger, that's also your Rafters player. Now, luckily enough, someone was able to retake, and Mikey just... Oh, from Strip? Mikey ran out Strip to kill Zoinkers. Bone gets a refrag, so it's not an equalizer, but a retention of the one-man advantage for this attack. That kill was down at the bottom of Red Stairs. And that Storm's dead. That is a C4 now denied, but, I mean, there's still 2. And we saw in the previous round, it only took 1 to win them the round. Holy crap, Mikey. I don't know how he just killed Nova there, but he did. And Mikey alone right now is the main star in this round. He got 2 kills, keeping the man count even. And, I mean, with the man count even in the positions the defenders are currently holding, they are full well in advantage, even more so now that Swaylin is just going to wide swing the breach and then end up winning his fight. The Mirror will hear the nade being cooked, but GXD still grabs the kill. And once again, we're even, but the case control is forfeited to Swaylin.
Yeah, we see the pings there. It seems that Lenny have exactly the perfect idea of what they're walking into, but no, they didn't know that GXD was already up Rafters and ready to find that kill. Swaylin says goodnight, and it's all up to Mikey in a 1v2. He knows where the diffuser is. It's on the platform wall, but that's about to be recovered here, and he does have a C4 to work with. A couple of Z pings will communicate where he should be looking towards the Rafters window, and he will deliver a triple kill accordingly. He'll now swing out to get a little bit aggressive as Bone creeps his way around towards the top of Red Stairs. A pre-fire behind the bomb chassis finds nothing. Mikey pops right up, and he will get a quad kill to finish it out. It seems that LennyGG and the clutch plays on CCTV and Cash will continue.
Persisting through the mute bug, which of course, you know, that doesn't affect the players. That's just an annoyance for us. Mikey, the star of the show, not only in this game, but so far across most of the season for Lenny. He has been a standout performer, and he will show us exactly why. Roaming around downstairs, getting a kill out Strip, and then peeking pool window and getting another. And although Swaylin got caught off guard by GXD, I gotta say, having Bone recover the diffuser there, OCG, one player played passive, the other held the angle, and it ended up losing the round. You let Mikey isolate the ones. It's exactly the opposite of what you need to do in that kind of situation. If anything, just have GXD hold passive, maybe just shoulder peek for info every once in a while. Their drone didn't need to go all the way down red. It could have just sat at the doorway to hold the hallway, so they had no info there. You could see that when Bone had no idea where his teammate died from. A lot of very, very tiny misplays end of that round that really costed OCG. We could be looking at a 2-2 right now, but instead it's a 2-round lead for Lenny as they go back to Jim, and this time instead of holding in Cash, they will play the Con Shield.
Yeah, so restricting or recoiling this hold a little bit, knowing that last time maybe they got a little bit overextended, that cost the life of Slippery, and that meant that when they did want to pull back, they had to pull back maybe a little bit further than they were comfortable. But this means that even if they lose a player, construction is basically the site itself. It's adjacent, and you can just hang out in there and move to that position as your hard stuck hold. Considering that as well, OCG was fully committed to that construction push, I suspect that is a solid adjustment from LennyGG. It does mean, though, that OCG will be able to get their way up into CCTV and Cash almost instantaneously. That's exactly what we can see them doing here. They've droned this out. They know it's fully cleared. And so it just comes down to how they are going to deal with the construction pressure. We just saw a hint of another element they're going to have to deal with, Slippery, who's chilling downstairs waiting for the right opportunity to strike. We know how that went last time, not too well for LennyGG, but this time they're going to be looking to change something up, and an opening pick this time will go their way.
That is your Thermite dead. Luckily, it's not your only hard breacher, so, you know, you can still open the con wall or Jacuzzi. Well, the con wall's already... You can fully open the con wall or Jacuzzi if you would like. Hopefully the flank watch is adequate. As you pointed out, Slippery was downstairs as well. He could be a thorn in the side of this attack if he's allowed to make progress on this flank. He's now coming up from secret, figuring, hey, this might just be the time to strike. And a C4 rings out. That storms from down below, from inside stock, making the heads-up play and taking out Nova, the second hard breacher. Sure, GXD is able to get a refrag, but how much is that going to matter when you can no longer open up any of the con wall? You can't establish the Jacuzzi cross. This entire attack is going to have to be shoved through a couple soul doorways. Now, they do know about the pressure of the flank, but Slippery falls back very quickly. I mean, he's wasted time. If anything, there's less than a minute. In comes the drone from OCG, but they still have mute jammers that are not clear. Now, luckily, there's none on this door, so they'll be able to get some nice info on the site. There's one by the gold rotate, one by the doorway on the stairs, and I believe they saw the guy behind the bomb chassis. But right now, OCG, they're just kind of walking around the map, searching for an opening pick, and Lenny aren't giving it to them.
Zoinker is hoping to pressure here from Logi, but a great nade from GXD will silence Mikey, keep this one in a 3v3, and OCG, they have more than a chance here, especially now that Zoinkers is going to get another. That's going to be the head of Swalen now removed, and Storms and Slippery will have to make something happen here, but thankfully for them, OCG only have 10 seconds to go. Bone going to roll on in and take one. Now it's going to be up to Slippery, and GXD silences him as well. OCG, at a moment's notice, they will collapse on the site, and they will win their gunfights decisively, taking round number 5.
All right. I did not expect that to go that way. It was a 3 versus 4. Lenny favored after that whole skirmish in Cash. And Lenny were playing it really exactly how you want them to play it. Holding crossfires, top main, bomb chassis, gold vault, gym. There's nowhere there where the attackers are able to safely push. But Logi, there is no ADS covering one of the Logi players. They get down thanks to a nade from GXD. And all 3 OCG members decide to just full send it, or as Cookies likes to say, full court press into Logi. And what do we see? We see the Zof LMG, which is a totally balanced weapon that does not need any tweaking at all. Thank God they nerfed the M762. Be able to just pre-fire his way into a kill. And there you go, man advantage into OCG, and they played around it masterfully. Well, well done by OCG. Good recovery, and we seem to have a bit of a turnaround from the issues that have plagued them throughout the entire season so far. Because, right, one of the biggest criticisms that you've had, that I've had, the other casting pair, and the analyst desk has had is that OCG just cannot close out rounds. It is one of their biggest issues. They'll grab an advantage, or they'll have a really nice clutch attempt, and they will just not be able to close it out. But so far, in this game, it's looking like it's gotten at least a little bit better.
Still had a couple of troubles, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I will agree. I think they are improving their late round play, and that's what's happened on Gym and Master both times now, in round number 2 and round number 5. We've seen these Gym attacks kind of end in a massive flurry of firefights, and OCG are coming out on top. They're improving that coordination in that aspect. But that coordination is once again going to be a focus of this round, because if you recall, last time we headed down towards Church and Arsenal, OCG threw away their lives before the round really even began. This time, as you can tell, nobody's dead yet, so we're going to see a pretty big change from OCG. They're going to go through a pretty standard, what appears to be a top-down clear. They are going to work their way through whatever roam setup that LennyGG have concocted. It hasn't been a substantial one, and Slippery, wow, that was bold. You're going to continue to sprint on through construction, and that's going to be punished, but Slippery should have lost their life I don't know, 3 different times as he ran past everyone on OCG as they cleared through that top-down position. The mistakes now, looks like we're seeing a couple of them come out from LennyGG, and maybe they're getting a bit flustered as they sense an OCG comeback here now that we hit about 90 seconds to go in round number 6.
I think we can definitely chalk up that roam clear earlier on this site too, the really botched one, to just a lack of info and ill preparedness from OCG, because now they know what's happening. Well, it's been expertly done. Not only was Slip cut off thanks to GXD and Nova, or sorry, not GXD and Nova, GXD and Zoinkers, but Mikey gets a little bit over-aggressive, and his head will be taken off by Devil. Now, Storms is still upstairs, mind you, and I'm not quite sure if OCG is privy to that information, but they'll go ahead and start playing their vert as well as opening the hatches, exuding their hard breach. But here comes Storms down the stage hatch. Are they ready for it? There's one on a drone inside of Billiards. Storm seems to be aware, but the drone will hop down Moto. It did not see him. The Mute will continue to move on through, and Devil is none the wiser. But Mute will not check that position just yet. But here he comes. An easy kill for Storms. Now the attackers are aware, but he has a fallback. He has the Moto hatch. Instead, he'll play aggressively, trying to play his life by the diffuser as Swaylin knocks the head off Zoinkers. So the man count has now been evened, and Storms is going to be a huge thorn in the side of OCG if they don't clear him in the next 10, 15 seconds.
Well, Nova pushing up dirt, a very isolated play and risky considering where the diffuser is positioned, but it will net a kill regardless. Bone has figured out a way to grab that diffuser and drop down into Arsenal. Goomine in the foot will allow that position to be telegraphed, but it doesn't seem to matter. Great coverage there by Nova, and a great way to finish that one out from OCG. They will secure a very successful attacking half, 3-3, the overall scoreline after a troubling start.
I definitely like the call from OCG. Storms being undroned was definitely a worrisome moment, but the call after Devil says, hey, there's a guy upstairs. At the same time, Nova makes his play, and he knocks off one of the site players. What does that mean for OCG? That means there's only one guy on site. Now, Storms does drop off. OCG, redrone bar, face check it, whatever, play for the trade. Either way, Storms has fallen back. But Storms has to fall back through the Moto hatch, which means he's not in Arsenal. He's in no position to affect Arsenal. Diffuser has been recovered. They play for the kitchen drop down. It works perfectly because they know where the defenders have to be. Well played by OCG Esports. And they will tie the half up, 3-3. They were down 3-1 at one point. They clawed their way back. Now, on a map like Clubhouse, not nearly as defensive-sided as it once was, but 3-3 is still pretty standard. Both teams, either one can still take this game.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to really have to see LennyGG put something together on the attacking side. This map, used to be heavily defensive-sided, but nowadays it's somewhere in the middle. 3-3 halves are pretty typical, but it isn't unusual to see 4-2 go the defensive side either. So, considering we've seen a couple of mistakes rear their head from LennyGG in these past few rounds, I think we're going to really have to see them clean it up and make something happen here. OCG, they'll be starting things off with a CCTV and Cash defense, and they'll be bringing out an operator we haven't seen in quite some time. The Doc is going to come in play from Zoinkers. But if you ever see Doc, this is pretty much where you would see him, holding down garage rafters, taking chip damage from just about everywhere, and that's exactly what the stim pistol is for, to recover that bit of HP when you need. In terms of that, hard breach denial, you don't have a ton on the side of OCG. You do have that mute jammer, of course, and that will slow down any sort of pressure that's put on the platform wall by LennyGG. But right now, they're not applying that pressure. They're pressuring from just about everywhere else. They've got people working their way in downstairs over by the bar. They've got people pressuring now garage and secret, but they've yet to pressure the site itself. I think they're preoccupied with a couple of these roamers.
OCG do have a decent amount of downstairs presence. Lenny, of course, aware of it. There's also someone in gym, as I believe the Jaeger has fallen off the middle floor. Nova hears the rappel up to the balcony, so he is aware his Bone is repositioned to protect his teammate in rafters. Both of these attackers are now turned attention towards server. This could be the perfect time for Nova to make a play, but alas, the opportunity for at least one of those kills has slipped by. The main breach has now been opened by the attackers. Geo doing his job, case in hand. There's also a lounge shield. Lenny have not cleared this. Devil can play for the C4 from below. It was only a minute 15, but in comes the garage players, and I guess they just didn't know he was there. Never mind. I thought that was the actual Iana. That was just a drone. So as Devil shoots it, they will call out that position. Zoinker's cam is still up, so he can even gather info for himself or have a teammate sit on it. This clear is taking a very long time from Lenny. I mean, we're sub 1 minute, and really all they've done is just open the breach.
Yeah, this is not what we were hoping to see from a team we said need to clean something up. At least you've got an opening pick. Mikey's going to claim that one. Bone lurking downstairs will be shut down. You still have Zoinkers to worry about, though, if you're LennyGG, and you have not cleared him out. Only 30 seconds left. Finally, Mikey will get that job done, securing the double kill, and that will encourage Nova to finally rotate back to the objective, but LennyGG need to build this pressure up. Still, a C4 and 2 toxic gas canisters in the pocket of OCG, one of which is now going to be tossed out and expended, forcing Mikey back and forcing this Raptors push to delay. This is what happens when you wait too long. This is going to get quite problematic. Everyone engulfed in the toxic smoke. Going for this plant now. Devil unable to use that C4 because Mikey takes his head right off. Storms from behind, gets 2 essential kills, finishing that round out for LennyGG. It was messy. It was slow, but they got the bomb down and they took the round out of OCG's hands.
Well played by Lenny towards the end of the round. The beginning was definitely way slower than I would have liked, but they recover. Why did they recover, you might ask? Because Mikey got 2 kills in garage. He took Raptors control. Sure, it was really late and there were gas canisters forcing them back, but what does the Zofia LMG allow you to do? It allows you to lay down suppressing fire for like 45 seconds straight. It's insane. So what does he do? He pre-fires through the cache to server wall because he knows there's going to be a C4 coming out. He knows exactly where people tend to throw it from. He pre-fires that spot. Devil is unable to affect the round with his explosive. The plant is being continued. And at the same time, Storms is coming up from a red flank because there's no longer anyone covering that position as the entire defense is distracted by the main execute. Well played by Lenny. They now lead 4-3. They will re-establish their advantage, if only by 1 round. And now OCG, they'll play a downstairs defense with a 3-tiered roam, only this time it's not SSG-esque. Well, okay. It's SSG-esque, but it's not an SSG roam. They're only bringing the mute as well as the vigil. We even have an alibi, and that's something that Parabellum love to bring, and they have the extra info of the Valkyrie. So, while it's not exactly a typical 3-tiered roam that you see, they've still got a lot of really good tools to aid them in their doing so.
Yeah, alibi is something that I know OCG don't shy away from bringing, and I think we'll see a lot more of her, especially from OCG, now that she received that minor buff on the MX4 Storm. Question is LennyGG going to go through the full top-down clear, or like many teams, OCG included, is LennyGG going to go for a more direct site approach and circumvent that roam by just sending it towards the objective? Based on Storm's position here on this metal balcony, based on what we can see from the rest of these players, it does seem that we're going to see that full clear. That's going to take some time. A massive problem that LennyGG had in the previous round was time. This could be a great call from OCG to head towards the setup, knowing exactly what a possible weakness is and hoping to exploit that.
Gio will let one of his thermite charges go out on the server wall, so the clear has now officially begun. Nova decides he no longer feels safe. He'll drop down the hatch, tag team with Zoinkers now inside a bar. I mean, that's pretty much the top floor roam, done and dusted. You've successfully pushed them back a bit. Now you just got to take them out of bar, which they won't even need to do themselves. Valkyrie and the Vigil decide better, and they will go back down to the site. It's now a full 5-man on-site hold from OCG, and I mean, a full Clubhouse roam cleared in just a minute and a half? That's pretty good for Lenny.
Felt like OCG could have held that position for a little bit longer. I mean, I am someone who is a big fan of just, if you sense any danger, rotate away, get back to the site. It's a lot better to play all 5 alive. But here, not too sure. I don't think LennyGG were in the position to actually get any of those kills, but despite that, LennyGG rotating away, so far paying off in dividends. They're already going to remove Swaylin, and that is one of your 2 hard breachers off the board, and considering that Gio has used both of those exothermics already, that is all of your hard breach utility now gone. a perfect position for this defense to be in, as this execute is likely to rear its head anytime soon. Mikey hoping some vertical play can assist. An Arsenal clear. Same for Storms with a breaching hammer in hand. But they've got a lot of work to do. They're going to have to rotate around towards the main stairs side because this site is on lock. And all 5 of these OCG defenders who have smartly rotated can just sit and wait. Storms will open things up for Lenny as he gets a nice kill on a GXD with that frag grenade. Geo dropping on down to go for this plant, but he has got to be careful. Nova's in play and gets a kill. Nova gets 2, but Storms gets 2 right back on the coverage. 8 seconds left, but now Geo is all left alone, and Zoinkers on a top floor retake makes it happen. Running up the secret stairs, through stock, in through kitchen, and making it happen.
I believe that was a 3K for Nova as well. 3 for him, 2 for Zoinkers. Masterfully played on the site. We questioned their decision to fall back from the roam that early, but it ended up working out, not only because they were able to play full 5-man site, but because Nova was downstairs, he could play for the C4, he got the opening pick. Lenny were time-starved, truly starved of those seconds. They had to make a blitz push. Nova was able to get 1 of the cover. In fact, he got 2. I didn't think he was going to get the second with the deagle. And while that commotion was happening on the site, the attackers were so hell-bent on shutting Nova down, stopping his reign of terror, and protecting their planter because they knew, of course, when it comes down to those dying seconds, the plant is really all you have. They did not pay enough attention to the flank. Zoinkers jumped on the opportunity just when the time was right. And we will end up at a tie score once again. Now we go on to Jim. OCG, taking a standard operator lineup. The question is this going to be a cash hold, or is it just going to be the con shield? Because they have a Frost and they have a Jaeger. It could be both, but it's looking like it's going to be a full cash hold.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff. You know, the Frost aids in that cash hold. There's nothing too crazy we're going to expect here. You got the mute jammers to assist that as well. And on the side of LennyGG, same lineup we've seen now pretty consistently here. Slippery and GL, the 2 players who haven't quite found that scoreboard. Geo, understandably so, playing that hard support role pretty consistently, but got to give it up to Swaylin, who has been on support all night long so far, and has 8 kills right now. 8 and 5, pretty good position for him. Storms and Mikey putting their team in a really good position as well. 9 kills each. Mikey adding to his tally, getting a 10th, as Zoinkers is caught rotating from construction into logistics, and Mikey was up in a very ready position that OCG were not quite prepared for. Didn't think he'd be so far advanced so quickly, and that complacency is going to cost them 2 lives. Nova is going to get aggressive and swing out. Slippery gets a double. A nice wall blang onto the head of Devil, and Bone now continues the unfathomable aggression, but it pays off huge, shockingly. Both players on LennyGG caught asleep. The second one, Mikey, a little bit more surprising considering they have the info and the intel on Bone playing that aggressively, and Bone has single-handedly brought OCG back in this round just like that.
Now, to be fair, Mikey did look like he was wall-banged there by Bone, so good awareness from the Jaeger, good game sense. This round just went from impossible to winnable for OCG. Now, they are still down a man. LennyGG can still play for the trades, should they do it correctly. They still have their hard breach, they've still got nades on the sledge, and Storms and Swaylin have been potent fraggers so far this game, but so has GXD, currently 11 and 5. Leading the entire lobby. Jacuzzi wall attempting to be breached by Geo, though it will not fall just yet. I believe there's a mute jammer. Nope, there was not. He was just waiting until he got safely up to the roof. So the attackers have now established the split. They've taken con control. They've left con, but they can go back if they so wish to. And they've got Jacuzzi open. They also know about the position of the Gold Vault player. Storm's attempting to wallbang it, but luckily GXD able to get away just in time. Bone will also be spotted out inside of bathroom. Only 48 seconds remaining, and LennyGG, they're going to start closing in. They've now got pings notifying them that that gold player has rotated into Logi itself. GXD does still have 3 gas canisters, however. He can delay a decent bit of time. He's just going to hold gold with the shotgun out. Any close angle being taken will likely go his way. In come the gas canisters, but he'll be full blinded. Here's the push from both the sledge and the Hibana. He'll be pre-fired down. That leaves it all up to Bone. He'll try and flank into Logi, but it's too late, and he's caught sprinting by Storms. LennyGG still able to take the round and reestablish their 1-point lead that so far in this game hasn't lasted for very long.
Man, the back and forth continues, and that one was a messy one from both teams. LennyGG starting that one off strong. Some great play from them to get up in the face of OCG with very, very efficient speed, but I mean, OCG kind of handed them some kills. The one in logistics, the Frost, I'll give them that one. LennyGG really earned it, but then Nova peeking out, over aggressive on Rafters as he heard, the footsteps pouring up the Rafters stairs. Another player falling victim. I think it was Slippery who got a couple of those kills there. The player who we had just highlighted wasn't playing super well, and then gets two just highlight level frags. Big stuff there from LennyGG. Bone, of course, nearly bringing it back, but LennyGG were going to pull it out anyway. Good job from them to not get too aggressive. Even in the man advantage, they made sure to drone out heavily, figuring out where those last two defenders were, and that very decisive push into logistics was clinical. Focused on removing that one player. They knew he was isolated. They dealt with him, and at that point, site control was relinquished, and LennyGG were happy to take the victory. Now up 5-4. 1 point away from potentially match point, but they've got to go back to CCTV and Cash. OCG, last time they were here, they were unable to pull out a defensive win. So this could be the first time we see a 2-round lead here if LennyGG can continue that success.
Last time LennyGG attacked this site, it was a pretty roaring success, like you said. The Rafters clear. Expertly played. Devil now on the Jaeger, a little bit more aggressive of a role than we're used to from him, but he will play it aggressively. Nova is the one off-site, maybe trying to do his best impression of Mikey from that one round where Mikey went off and got a 4K as the Valk. Interestingly enough, Lenny haven't been bringing the Capitao. I know Geo liked bringing it in the previous season. I guess they figure it's not necessary for their cash push. The Mute Jammer will be cleared from the wall, and that means Geo is free to breach. Very early on from Lenny, establishing that breach control. Well done to them. Now Devil's position in Rafters just a little bit more exposed.
Yeah, if you recall that last round from Lenny, they were here. They didn't get that breach open until really late in the round, and that nearly cost them in the end, but they pulled it out anyway. Last time, once again, it came down to Mikey and this push from the Rafters stairs, which it may once again, but we know for a fact it's not going to be able to come down to Swaylin, the Hibana, who has been unlucky in these last few rounds, falling in the opening engagements a couple times in a row. Storm's now joining Slippery and Mikey on this Rafters push, but look at Nova, retaking from Lounge. Where's the call? Where is Mikey? Mikey finally gets that kill, but Slippery actually taken down, but not out in the meantime. Mikey gets a double kill, so making up tremendously for his mistake in just about 2 seconds. And with 1:05 to play, that is ample time to recover Slippery and get him back in this fight, but near disaster for LennyGG. And OCG, they now want to finish this one off. Zoinkers is allowed to win that fight. He now wins 2, whips out the pistol to look for the final kill, but Geo evades that final disaster. But my oh my, Zoinkers making a miracle happen. OCG just punishing LennyGG for these mistakes.
Can we also talk about that angle from Bone? That was a punch hole in strip through the billiards window, through those little blue grids, into where the Hibana crouch breached garage. That is an incredible angle. The Valkyrie also walking in, getting his pick. And I think Mikey was, Mikey had his utility out, which is why he wasn't able to peek. He had to put away the launcher first. But either way, it was late from Mikey. I think maybe they didn't expect the Valkyrie to keep going in garage. But either way, well played from OCG, as I believe Lenny have now called their tactical timeout. We can also talk about how did Zoinkers get 2? The first kill onto Mikey was miraculous enough, as Mikey was already watching the angle. But the fact that he got the second, that was really the round winner right there. So beautiful play from Zoinkers, as well as from his earlier teammates. I mean, it's actually OCG with the timeout. We're tied up once again. If this goes 6-6, let me check what the points are right now for Lenny. I believe they're currently sitting at 7. Yes. Mikey are sitting at 7 points. If this goes to overtime, at max, Lenny will be tied with Okami and Honor, both of which have the tiebreaker. So if this goes to overtime, this could very well end Lenny's run for playoffs.
Yeah, this one's big. I mean, OCG, they're out of playoff contention by far at this point. They're nestled comfortably in the relegation spot, but if they can end some playoff hopes and dreams here, that's exactly what they're looking to do. I mean, in that last round, you highlighted the play of Zoinkers. When we saw him walking up towards that breach and we saw Mikey watching that angle, I was certain. In the post-round analysis, I was going to have to say Zoinkers threw away the round by being just too damn aggressive, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking that as he walked up. But by some miracle, he's able to get 2 kills after Mikey was just staring at the angle, seemingly ready for that aggression. I mean, if you're going to be aggressive, that was a good time to do it. You knew that Slippery was down because of the earlier shenanigans in the garage by Nova. And you got the good comms, and you knew that maybe you heard the sound of him getting revived, and you had to make a play. So good on you for doing that. And this case, it paid off. But we've also seen a couple of rounds where the OCG aggression hasn't paid off. So you got to be careful when trying to balance that aggression and that patience. But right now, they can go back to that patient style. They're going back downstairs to Church and Arsenal, a site that they took pretty comfortably last time when they head downstairs here in round number 8. So we'll see how LennyGG now can change something up if they want to continue this back and forth pattern that we've had now for this entire half, or if OCG sneak away and possibly take us to match point first.
There's a lot of info on the board for OCG, as well as a lot of info denial. Bringing both. Good to spread yourselves like that. Jack of all trades, the team currently is running. The Mozzie drone attempting to get away. It will not escape Storm's clutches. There isn't too much of a roam. It looked like there was early round pressure upstairs, but that's quickly fallen back, so nothing for LennyGG to worry about as they work their way into kitchen. There'll likely be Geo opening the hatch, and of course Storms exuding that not top floor, but that vertical downwards presence with the sledge. Big question for me is how long Lenny are going to spend up here? Because so far, Lenny have taken a while, and they're only able to recover in the very, very late stages of their execute. Already, Geo's going to be significantly lit up by a C4. It's not going to kill him, however, but again, if the time issues aren't solved by Lenny, they're going to be pushing into mirror windows, and this could be match point for OCG if they do not fix that problem.
Well, the time problem is going to be mostly remedied now that the impact trick battle on the kitchen hatch is finally ended, with Swaylin coming out on top after a back and forth with Zoinkers.
I think it's... Okay.
Wow, a drone got all the way up the hallway, so
yeah.
Some intel there for Slippery to be sure. As the firefight from above continues. You can have Geo now with those exothermic charges trying to aid Storms and just finding any sort of picks from above, because right now, we know how powerful OCG can be with all 5 on the site. That's what they did last time, and with 40 seconds left, that's exactly the trajectory we are on for round number 11. Devil playing close here by dummies. Oh, but look at all this intel.
Wow.
There's 2 C4s in pocket, and they know where every single attacker is positioned. They can stun on down, but LennyGG, they're going to be walking right on into a trap. Slippery doesn't seem to mind as he takes care of Zoinkers, nor does Mikey, as he says goodbye to Devil in this round. Nova and Bone, they collapse on this site. Bone takes 2. Nova gets 1, now a second, leaving Geo alone, but thankfully it's a post plant, but he's not got any chance with a player coming from above, and GXD Nova collapsing on the site. That was an intel game from OCG that won them the round.
Yeah, I mean, even then, not even like info in its totality, just that one Valkyrie camera in kitchen, letting OCG know everything they needed to. I mean, Huge play. They knew exactly where those members were dropping. Now, at the beginning of the execute, it looked like Lenny were able to bring things back. They got the initial first 2 picks, but then you have Nova coming in laterally, Bone going in up top, each finding kills, Bone connecting for 2 because he has all the info. And what does that mean? Your last 2 attackers are stuck downstairs in Arsenal behind nothing but box 1 with 2 people pushing in, 1 behind box 2, 1 using the floor holes in the long hallway, and Bone coming in from above. You are trapped like a rat in a cage, and there is nothing you can do about it. Nova gets 1 pick from below. Bone still up top. He gets his last one through the floor. Easy for OCG. And that puts them up 6-5. Guys, OCG have just confirmed their 2nd point in the entire season. So big ups to OCG, and again, they might take their very first win. Lenny absolutely need to win this in overtime if they even want the slimmest of chances in playoffs. Because again, even if they win here in overtime, they will be tied for points with Okami and Honor, and the only way Lenny can make playoffs at that point is if the Okami Honor game goes to overtime and Lenny takes a regulation victory over Orglis.
Playoff hopes on the line. LennyGG will have to run through their checklist for a pretty standard gym attack. They're going to work their way in from the Cash side. We can see that exothermic charge opening up that platform wall, and Geo figuring out exactly what they're dealing with. But a big change can already be felt in this round. OCG are not extending all the way to Cash like they did last time. We aren't seeing these early engagements that OCG provided LennyGG with last time that gave Lenny the round. So a lot more of a passive style here from OCG. Still a little bit of a roam. You do have Zoinkers with a C4 in hand playing down below, likely for that plant denial later in the round if he can stay there until that point. But despite allowing LennyGG most of the way up, LennyGG are still taking their sweet time. They have not even worked their way inside of Cash proper. They've opened up that wall into construction, so they've got a couple of different entry points here, but they're still trying to figure out where they want to pressure from. Geo has also rotated around towards that jacuzzi wall, so could open up that at any moment as long as they deal with Mute Jammer expeditiously.
It's still been left up. I'm surprised it hasn't been taken out yet. I imagine, as you said, it will be done so expeditiously, and there we go. The breach is now open. OCG are playing the con shield. No Cash extension for them because they know exactly how that went last time. Dedicate reinforcements over there, but no bodies. No free 2-pace for Slippery. A mirror window as well, facing into Logi, and Zoinkers is playing down below. Now, I'm not sure if he's already used the C4 or if the C4 is just pre-placed, but either way, he can at least, at the very least, he can stop the window jumping. The other mirror window, of course, is in bathroom, facing the jacuzzi breach. And OCG, they have a Hibana, but they have not dealt with it yet. Now, Bone trapped between a rock and a hard place. He'll get droned out, and Mikey is quick to capitalize. So it's +1 frag for Lenny, +1 man count, but as Storms tries to make an aggressive play in, Zoinkers is down below. That was that window jumping I was talking about. He'll equalize as Lenny maybe get a little bit complacent. Now the Hibana charges are going off. That'll do away with the mirror window covering bathroom, making GXD very exposed. And as the drone comes in, the attackers know exactly where he is. He will opt to stay here and fight, and it ends up being his death. Swalen, actually, no, that was actually the death of Nova. Nova goes down. In comes the attackers. GXE gets one, actually a second. How does he live? Mikey, you need to get this kill. He'll finally be able to kill the Mira, but the Fuser control is forfeit. He'll pick it up. It's now up to Slippery to try and cover as Zoinkers comes up the main stairs. The Iana turns his back, but for a moment, he's so low HP. Zoinkers can't deny the plant, but he'll kill the Iana and pistol out. He gets the triple. Zoinkers goes huge. OCG, they'll take their very first win in the season and destroy the playoffs hopes of Lenny.
What a play from Zoinkers, the clutch master strikes again. We've seen some incredible plays from him all stage, even though OCG have not been on top of it. Zoinkers has been consistent, and OCG, with that play, they will take the full 3 points out of LennyGG's hands, crushing LennyGG's playoff hopes, sending them to pretty much play out the rest of their season with no goal